There are over 30 debuffs right now in Raid Shadow Legends, and they come in different rarity of champions in the game, available in their skills or their passives. In this video, I want to take time to rank all these debuffs we currently have in the game and see how you should always use them in battle. Alright, before we even dive deep into the video, I have to give this disclaimer that this knowledge is based on my 2-year experience of the game. So my experience might be different from any other player's experience out there based on the champions I use that have the debuff or the champions I use who don't have the debuffs. So that will be based on my tier list right now. I'll put this link in the description so you can also make your tier list maybe from this template I've created and share it with me on Discord. All right, let's head straight into the video. I'll not be going deep dive into this each of these debuffs because it will take a while to explain, but hopefully you know what they do. If you do not, I'll link the link below where I got all these images from. Shout out to Ayumi Love, and you can check out each debuff and which champions have it. So the first ones, I'll start from top to down. I'll not start from the bottom so we don't end up putting some things where they're not supposed to be. My favorite of all time debuff that I use in every battle, I'm saying in every battle, is decrease defense. Now there are two types of decrease defense, right? The one that you find in rare champions, which is this smaller decrease defense, this one, and the ones that you find in, you know, epic and maybe some rare champions, and mostly in legendary and epic champions, is this bigger version of decreased defense. Now this debuff is used a lot in battle, therefore I'll put it as the top tier debuff based on how often I use it. So of course there will be some that maybe you say, what if they are stunned? I don't even need to debuff them. Now I don't want battles that take on forever. So decreased defense, 50% decreased defense makes you take down the enemies faster. So that's why I put it top tier number 1. Now the smaller version of decreased defense, right from the time you start playing Raid Shadow Legends, even if you're 1 week into the game, in fact 2 days into the game, everybody tells you to get a War Maiden. Why? Because she has the stronger version of decreased defense, this one, right? So you don't really need this one at all in battle. I know Allure is one champion that has this one, and you're thinking, if I have Allure in my team, do I still need a decreased defense champion? Yes. So I say this is a top tier one, while this one might even go down to a lower tier based on how often it is useful in the game. So we always have a replacement for it, so we don't rank it very high. All right, my next one that I always think I want to bring into battle besides decreased defense is I don't want to say weaken. It used to be weaken, but right now I think the next one that I want to put is poison. I'll tell you why. Poison is my next one on my list. I don't want to rank it too high because it doesn't rank too high there. But my reason for poison is because right now in all my teams, I'm talking about the dragon, I'm talking about fire knight, I'm talking about ice golem, even doom tower waves. What do I use to kill them? I list out a bunch of poisons from 2 champions, I'm talking about Taros and what's his name now? Basically, I put out 8 poisons out there, or 6 poisons, and I let Xavier, the poison explosion champion, nuke them. So that's my strategy for getting through waves, so I don't have to sit there placing decreased defense and weaken and hitting them one by one, or trying to kill them with big gun. No, I use Xavier to explode poisons. So because of that strategy, how fast it can clear waves in almost every content, both in dungeons, even the keeps, potion keys and all that, you let out a bunch of poisons. I'm talking about the bigger poisons, and then you let Xavier or the other person who can also do poison explosion explode it. So that's why I'm ranking this one a little bit high, not as high as decreased defense, because there are many ways out there you can kill champions, but I feel like this one is up there. So the smaller version of poison explosion, which the smaller version of poison, which a lot of people use as a way of getting extra damage for clan boss from, I forgot the name of that artifact in raid, which gives you this smaller version. I have never really used it, but I feel like I guess it can add extra damage if you do not have, especially if you're building an unkillable team, right? You give them that artifact that can land poison and when they are hit, I think. And that's the one that a lot of people use, but I don't rank it too high because I don't use it. All right, the next one on my list is decrease attack. Yes, decrease attack you think should be second, but no, it's third on my list because most of my battles do not include a decrease attack champion. So I'm gonna rank it as not that important now. Even the smaller version of decrease attack ranks higher than these ones, unfortunately. So I think decrease attack will be, it's not as high as decrease defense in terms of what you should bring into battle. So if you are to choose between a decrease defense champion and a decrease attack champion, which would you bring into battle? I think you will always bring in a decrease defense champion over a decrease attack champion. So that's why I'm ranking it second over decrease defense in the A tier list. As for the smaller version of decrease attack, I think it's Reliquary Tender. When I bring her into battle and I don't have a spot for decrease attack champion, she just places it, and I'm surprised, like, it still helps decrease the amount of damage you take by 25% instead of 50%, right? That's the difference between the two. Okay, the next one on my list is, now it's getting tricky. A lot of people are shouting right now in the comment section, what about stun, what about stun, what about stun? Don't worry, we'll get to it. Because you already know stun belongs in the top tier. Yes, why I decided to wait to bring it up, because a lot of players in the early game, I'm talking about your first month, your second month, even your third month, you don't even have a champion that can play stun. Yes, and most champions who can do it on a single target, it's not really worth it. We always want stun on a AoE basis, and your first champion in the game who normally can place this stun debuff is Sealed Drake. So it takes about 180 days, right, to get her. So it takes a while to get this debuff in the game. That's why I wanted to wait a while to talk about other debuffs that newer players might know before I come on to the stun. But yes, this is a top tier, S tier debuff in the game, because champions that have been stunned, they cannot do anything basically, but you can still do the same amount of damage to them, which brings out the next one, Freeze. Freeze is not top tier. It's right, I should even place it under here. It's not as important as decrease attack. It shouldn't be on decrease attack, the same tier list as it, but I'll put it right there. Why? Because it has its own special use case. Like, champions who are frozen cannot also hit you, so it's as good as placing decrease attack on them. When you have decrease attack on the champion, he can hit you, right? So you still take damage. So I think it should be on the same tier list, the same A list as decrease attack in a way. So, but champions who are frozen, they take reduced amount of damage. That's why you see me not placing it at the same level as stun. So it offers the same control for one turn, the same way as stun, but they cannot, they take reduced damage when they are frozen. There's a cool mechanic, I think, that happens when freeze and burn merges, and I'm not sure what it is, but I've not read about it yet, but I know Rotos has that cool mechanic when stun and freeze happens and something strange. I don't yet have a Rotos. It's not Rotos, what's his name? This guy that always freezes the entire wave when you do a buff. I don't have him, so I can't remember his name, but I know I have a counter for him. Okay, HP burn, I'll put it where HP burn is quite important in Raid Shadow Legends. It's one of the best ways to beat some bosses because it does a percentage of their damage. So there are also some, and it's one of the best ways we kill the spider. There are also some cool champions who benefit a lot from HP burn, like Ninja, which a lot of people do have, and can, proc CCR, Flame Tongue also. So it's one of those debuffs that when you have it out there, you should make maximum use of it, not just letting it tick once. And it's one of the best ways you can kill big bosses that you can really hit and proc War Master or Giant Slayer procs to kill them. HP burn is the way to go. So especially for the Spider 25 or Spider 20 dungeons, HP burn. So I'll put it on the same tier list as poison. It's not as good as decrease defense now. So if you were asked me which do I want to take into battle between decrease defense and HP burn, I would take decrease defense, depending on the content also. But right now, this tier list is based on general content. I'm talking about maybe I'm just doing a normal battle of a wave. All right, it will also depend whether you're using them for arena, because you agree with me that HP Bond has no place in the arena. Before you can proc it, your team might be already dead. All right, speaking of the arena, this brings us to the next one, which is this boots speed, both of them here. Now, this smaller version of decreased speed, I'll always put it right here because it's what, 15%, while the bigger version of decreased speed gives 30% decreased speed, I guess. So it's kind of important, especially in the Hydra these days and in the arena also. Champions who have their speed decreased will not do a lot of will not have their turn meter filling really fast and will not get their turns fast. So it's not as important as decreased attack or freeze, but it's still important. So I'll put it right there. It's kind of sad putting it in the same level as decreased attack. It's kind of sad putting it right there, but hey, it's decreased speed. It doesn't belong in the same tier as this one. I think it does, but I've put many things on the A list, so let me just put something on the B list. All right, and the next one, weaken. Let's not forget about weaken because it's almost ranked the same way as decreased defense, but I will not put it as the same way as decreased defense. There's a 25% weaken and a 50% weaken, right? Or is it 15% or 25%? I forget the percentages, but the bigger weaken belongs on the A list, while the smaller weaken belongs on this, not even on this list, no, it belongs here. So that's the weaken debuff, right? Yes, that's it. So that's the way I'll rank it. Weaken, it's also really as useful as decreased defense, but not as useful as decreased defense, the bigger version, I mean. All right, the next one, I'll go back to control. I'll talk about provoke. Yes, provoke debuff is the same thing as controlling your champion like stun and freeze, but in this instance they will only attack the champion who plays that provoke on them. So it's a way of controlling, and when they are provoked they cannot use other skills, they must use their A1. So it's a very important and useful one in the game, so I will not put it as good as stun, because remember, when provoke you still take damage. So stun, you don't take damage at all. So there are certain instances where you want to use provoke. There are certain instances where you even prefer to stun them than to provoke them. So most of the time, if stun is 100%, just use it. Don't use it instead of provoke. Provoke, you still take damage and they still, get to move and stuff. All right, the next one on my list, I'm trying to make this one faster, is let's just talk about this one. Let's talk about this one, sleep. I'll put it right there because we've not put anything right there. I'm not just putting it right there because I want to put something there. It's because sleep is one of the most useless debuffs in raid. That's the truth. When you sleep the enemy, somebody takes a turn and hit them, they wake up. So that's it. It's kind of useless. It's useful. Let's say Prince Kaima puts people to sleep and then they take their turn. Yes, if that is going to happen, fine. But sometimes you can't really, know when it's going to happen. Prince Kaima will sleep people and then your Nuka goes to wake them up like a thunder. So, nah, I don't see it as a good one in raid. So I'll put it right there. The next one I want to talk about is Leech. Leech debuff, I still can't come around to it. People hype it a lot that if you have Leech in the clan boss, right, you don't even need to bring in, what do you call this thing? Lifesteal. But I have Leech in the clan boss for my Noob to Pro series, right? And here I am still using Lifesteal on all my champions. Yes, I do have Leech from Vogot, but I still have Lifesteal on all my champions because I don't trust Leech. That's just the truth. I feel like the healing it provides cannot be compared to that of Lifesteal procs when it does Giant Slayer and War Master. It just gives you full heal, while Leech just gives you a little bit. So no, I'll not put it the same level as this one. I'll put it's useful, just like decreased speed is useful, but not quite extremely useful, or you can do without it. That's what I'm saying. Especially if you have a healer on your team, you don't even need Leech. All right, the next one I'll talk about on the tier list is fear. Fear and true fear. this debuff is one of those things I hate so much in raid, especially when it's on my champions. It's like 50-50. Is it gonna proc? Is it not gonna proc? So yeah, this is a smaller version of the fear, and this is the true fear, right? That's the difference. So true fear is an awesome one. It belongs on the same level as, since the champions that have been true feared has a chance of still taking a turn, like it might not proc, I'll rank it like this. I won't put it at the same level as a provoke, no, because provoke, it's 100% that they won't take a turn, but they will hit you. Freeze, they'll take a turn, they will not even move. But this true fear is, there's a chance they will still be able to, move when true feared. So that's why I'll rank it like this. It doesn't belong on the same level. But this fear, I should put it on the same level. The difference between them is one of them, you lose that skill, like the skill goes on cooldown, right? Like it was used. Why the other one, the skill doesn't go on cooldown when you miss. So I don't know if it's the same percentage, but I'll have to check maybe. Heal reduction. Now this is another useless one. So I'll rank it like this. It has its niche. There are extreme cases. There are specific cases where you use heal reduction, and the 100% heal reduction, I think about the Fire Knight. That's why I use it the most. From my, I think it's what's her name, is it Cold Heart? Yeah, Cold Heart lands that heal reduction, I think. Now Venomage is another champion that I think I use this one the most recently in Doom Tower, that they keep healing themselves. So it has extreme niche uses, can never be important to be used in arena. I've not seen it used, or general dungeon content, except like I said in Fire Knight, where you don't want the boss healing himself too much. So that's why I'll rank it even lower than decrease speed. All right, poison sensitivity is one that we see being used a lot in the clan boss. Yes, that's where we see poison sensitivity being used a lot. So it doesn't belong on the same tier list, but because of the amount of damage that your poison can do when it ticks, it's important to have this a lot in normal clan boss teams. I'm not talking about unkillable teams. Unkillable teams don't care about poison sensitivity, but normal clan boss teams is one of the things you look forward to adding to the run, especially from a frozen banshee. But if you do not have a frozen banshee, an occult brawler would do poisons normally without a poison sensitivity. It just increases the damage, maybe even from dragon 20 and below. It's one debuff that is useful, I guess. All right, in terms of back to control, what's this one? I forget what it's called. I think I have the list open here. Let me see what it's called. Block active skill. Yeah, that's what it's called. So I've only used this one in faction wars from one of those Oathbound or somebody who is of the Banner Lords, where I needed to use him to control the waves, including a stun set on him. So that's where I've used this one the most. And I didn't quite find it that useful, but it works if it lands, and your champions, the enemies, can only use their A1 when it does land. So because I don't see a lot of champions who have it on 100% or would do it, lock it, the entire enemy teams out, right? Not just one or two. That's why I'm ranking it right here. It's not like it's not as good as provoke. It does the same thing as provoke, but it still makes them use their A1 skill, but they can target any of your enemies with it. So that's why I'm ranking it right here. It's useful when it lands. There are not a lot of champions who do it though. That's one thing I've noticed in raid. The next one is, what's this one called? I forgot his name. Block buff debuff rest. I always mix it up with block debuff buff. All right, this one I can think of is my Lydia. Yes, my Lydia also has the 2. So what am I talking about? I don't use it a lot. My Lydia has the 2, this 2 just right here. So it's one of the things that I find she uses, and it just makes me target one person and put that person's out of the match. They can still use their A1, but they are no longer of a threat to me once I put this 2 from a Lydia on them. I put it on the champion that is most threatening, especially in the arena. To me, maybe a Foley or a Tronda. Just not the Arbiter. I don't want to lock out the Arbiter. Put it on the damage dealer. All right, so or even this Lurios. Yes, once you put these two on a Lurios, he's useless. Especially this block buff debuff. I'll rank it right here because it's so useful, especially in the Hydra. That's why I'm putting this one. It's not the same level as Provoke, I guess, but I'll put it right there. I think that's where I'll put it. All right. The next one that I'll rank is Bomb. Bomb debuff is clowned so much in raid. We see it extremely useful. We see when Lord Saja comes in there and places 2 bombs on you. Is it Lord Saja? I forgot his name. Yeah, he places 2 bombs on you, or a one more that places 2 bombs on you. You're like, oh god, how am I gonna survive this? Yes, because you know once those bombs goes off, you're gone. Your entire team will just begin to disappear from the battle. So people still underrate it, but you know when you see bomb champions, you are kind of scared. So they're underrated because of PvE. It's not that yet useful. Maybe when you place 4 bombs on an enemy champion and they just go poof, maybe that's when we'll begin to appreciate it. Just like poisons. 2 poisons on an enemy champion does nothing. But when you place a lot of them, you can just see their HP just disappear. That's what I think about bombs. We should try to place more than 2 and not just judge it based on placing 2. And right now there's a new champion who can place 2 and then place 1 more. I think he'll be able to be more useful in the game. So it's not as useful, it's not on the top tier, but maybe I should even rank it here based on how often we use it in the game, because I have never used my bomb champions that I do have. So maybe right there, that's where it belongs. It's kind of sad though to have bombs right there. Decrease accuracy is becoming more useful in the Hydra, in the what do you call it? What do you call this other team? Doom Tower. Yes, that's what I'm trying to remember. So decrease accuracy is one thing that is extremely useful for bosses, especially in Doom Tower. So that's where a lot of people use it the most. So it doesn't rank up as good as Fear and all these ones, so I'll put it right here. Normally it should belong here, but because of it's not that useful, it's not often used, especially from champions who have it on their A1. The one champion that I benefit the most from this debuff is Duke the Pierce. That's one champion I just found it on him, and it's kind of useful a lot when enemies is hitting me and they're getting resisted. So that's what I found the most useful. So it's right there, but it's not commonly used. Now decrease resistance is kind of a new debuff in the game. Of course, the smaller version will not be that useful, but the bigger version I think should be placed decrease resistance. Should be ranked higher than decrease accuracy. That's what I think. But because again, it's not one we want to bring into battle all the time. It has its own special case. When you have that special boss, you bring it in, defeat that boss, then you go back to your normal team. So I rank it somewhere over there. But when it's commonly used in the game, we'll find bosses where we have no choice but to use it. Block active skills. It's not one debuff I've seen a lot. That's a very niche one, so I'll rank it over there. I'm trying to rush up now. Let's end this video before it gets too long. And decrease crit damage is one that is extremely useful. I found it from which champion that has it now? What's her name? Osoga the War Caller. When she does that decrease and a Foley or Thunder just gets it, I'm like, good, I'm not gonna die. So I'm ranking it somewhere high there, where the smaller version will come down there. And the next one, which one is this? I forgot the name. Decrease crit rate. Yeah, I don't see it a lot in battle also, but when it is in battle, it can be useful a little bit, and the smaller version will always come down there because it's not that useful. And last but not the least, hex debuffs. They say it will be useful in Hydra, and there are some champions who rely on it a lot, like I forgot this champion's name, that whenever hex is out there, that's when they can do big nukes. So because of that condition, they are not on, it's not as highly rated as all these other ones. So I'll put it somewhere right there. All right, this is my tier list for debuffs that are currently in Raid Shadow Legends. I know I'm off by a little bit on some of these debuffs. I know that, so I look forward to you commenting which one you think I got wrong amongst all these debuffs. Tell me where you think it should have been placed. So I look forward to your comments below. If you want this tier list, if you want to create your own or reorder your list also, I'll put the link in this description of this video, so you can also take a look and make your own tier list from these pictures I've already uploaded. Shout out to Ayumi Love again. That's where I got all these images. They do the great job of, you know, explaining each of these debuffs and the percentages and all that. I didn't go deep into them. I just mentioned how I place them. But if you want to know which champions have these debuffs in Raid Shadow Legends, I recommend you check out Ayumi Love. I'll put the link also in the description of their website, where you can read a lot more about Raid Shadow Legends and the champions in the game. All right, again, don't forget to hit the like, subscribe to this YouTube channel. My name is Describe and I love doing these Sunday chill videos for you guys. I'll see you guys in the next Raid Shadow Legends video. Good night, guys.